Now, the ranking Republican on the Rules Committee, Congressman Tom Cole of Oklahoma. Tom, I want to take you back to a conversation we had about an hour ago. I'm sure you've had a lot of these conversations with business owners, small business owners in your district. But I keep talking to my friends all over the country, whether they're small business lawyers or whether they're bankers, whatever they are, and they keep telling me whoever gets elected in 2020, whether it's Donald Trump getting reelected or whether it's Joe Biden, we're in for a mess economically in 2021. Real concerned, a lot of concern, like I didn't hear before 2008. Are you hearing some of those same concerns? And what in the world do we do, regardless of who gets elected president, to prepare for the coming onslaught of more economic problems?
I do hear those concerns, Joe, and they're very much on the minds of voters and business people. Quite frankly, we've come about halfway back from where we were. That's good. But the next half is probably a lot tougher than what we've done. In terms of what we do, the first thing we do is act now. Look, we could have a fifth coronavirus relief bill if about 5 or 6 people would just simply come off their high horses, in my view, and sit down and bargain. The choice is not between 2.2 trillion and 1 trillion. It's really between about $1.5 trillion and zero. And the only reason why it's at zero is because we have people unwilling to put on the floor things that both sides agreed to. We both agree for $105 billion to reopen schools. We both agree that every American making less than $75,000 a year ought to get $1,200 per adult and $500 per child per household in a one-time payment. We disagree whether it's $400 or $600 worth of relief for individuals that are unemployed through no fault of their own on a weekly basis. We started at 2. Republicans moved to 4. Democrats haven't moved from 6. That's silly. I mean, let's get to 4, and if we want to keep talking, we can do that. We need more help for small businesses. So the best thing we could do for whoever the next president is act now. That will help the economy enormously, and it will keep us on what's been a pretty positive trajectory for about the last 10, 12 weeks.
So, Tom, I think we've talked about this before. I came to Congress in '94 because I was concerned about the deficit, the debt. I was concerned about big government spending, but we find ourselves in a position now where the federal government's the only lifeline for so many working class Americans. And so, yeah, there is a balance between passing on debt to future generations, but also just keeping things running now. My bigger concern is what happens even if there is another stimulus package. What happens when that money runs out? Let's say it's extended 2 or 3 months. What happens when that money runs out? What does the economy look like? How do we get back on our feet?
Well, look, I think the underlying economy pre-coronavirus was very robust, and it still is. I mean, you can see this is an economy or a pandemic that hits in enormously disparate ways in different parts of the economy. This is pretty good here if you're working at Amazon. I mean, they're hiring people, they're adding people, same thing at Microsoft, same thing with all the big tech. So parts of the economy are doing pretty well. And I think once you get a virus, and look, a vaccine, I think you'll see things get a lot better. And we're going to have a vaccine at extraordinary speed. I mean, it's actually undercovered, in my opinion, what the biomedical and pharmaceutical industries and the government working together have done. Because whether it's 2 weeks before the election or 2 weeks after the election really is immaterial. It's going to arrive faster than any vaccine in human history, and we're going to have the ability to distribute it faster. Doesn't mean, by the way, throw away your mask or quit washing your hands or you don't have to socially distance. You have to do those things for a while, but we are on the cusp of a really extraordinary breakthrough, and it's been by really seamless cooperation between private industry, government, and medical researchers doing the right thing with unprecedented resources placed at their disposal by the federal government.
Congressman Cole, Willie Geist, good to see you this morning. I want to ask you on a different topic. President Trump, as you know, has been warning that mail-in voting could lead to a rigged election. He was talking about it again this morning in an interview. Your state election board says there's nothing to worry about. They said, we've done this in our state for many, many years. The time or the wait is not going to be any different than it has been in the past. It's an important issue for voters across the country and in your state. Do you have concerns about mail-in voting, or do you think it's solid?
I think it's solid. Look, I used to be a Secretary of State. I'm not worried about the elections being corrupted. I do worry a lot about people saying they're going to be corrupted, delegitimizing them in advance. And I see that, by the way, on both sides. I mean, we spent a lot of time with the Russians tried to influence the election. There's like zero evidence that they actually were successful. And so we hear this from both sides. It's unfortunate. I know a lot of the secretaries of state around the country. I used to sit on the Secretary of State's executive committee when I was one. And I got to tell you, Democrat or Republican, there's not a more honorable group of men and women. They want to get it right. They work hard. They've got very capable staff. So I think the election will be fine. My biggest concern is sometimes in the haste to make sure that we extend the ability, which we should, to everybody to vote. We don't often match up the reasonable postal delivery dates with the election calendar. So that's going to be a problem. In our state, we haven't changed anything. Look, you can still vote by mail. I vote by mail, but it's an absentee system. We don't mail out a ballot to everybody. And you have to, frankly, go to a notary public to identify who you are. So it's a very safe system. But I think that's true in most of the states. The states that vote traditionally by mail have been doing it for a long time and doing a good job. So again, I wish we would just focus on the issues and the election itself, not worry too much about the count, because I don't think that there's going to be broad-scale voter fraud in the United States by either side.
All right, Congressman Tom Cole, always good to talk to you. Thank you so much. Stay safe out there. And that does it for us this morning.